is in the fall, and it is time for Hope Calvin volleyball. I'm Scott Vanderstoop. I'm the Dean for Social Sciences, and I am joined by sophomore Carly Van Swal. Carly will be providing the play-by-play today, and before the match started, she had a chance to talk to Hope College head coach Becky Schmidt, and she offered her pregame reflections on tonight's match. So let's go to that interview right now.
Coach, you're coming off a great win from Adrian this past Saturday, bringing you into a high note into this game. What are going to be some of your keys for this game?
It comes down every single match to being able to out-serve and out-pass our opponent. And Calvin is a very good serving team, and so we are going to have to make sure that we are buckled down on serve-receive, and make sure that we're serving tough, getting them out of system, and limiting the number of offensive options that they have.
And you just kind of mentioned it, but since this is such a big game against Calvin, are you going to do anything different than the normal game plan to make those adjustments for Calvin?
No, I mean, we've got an idea as to what it looks like for our team to be able to play at our best, and we go out every single night and try to make that happen, and so we're working on a few things, trying to continue to add a little bit more depth to our offensive options, making sure that we're making great defensive reads, but we're just going to go out and try to execute it the same way that we have been up to this point this season.
Well, thank you so much, Coach, and good luck today.
Thank you.
You are here today to see the matchup of Hope College versus the Calvin Knights. And this is one of the best matchups in the country. I'd have to say arguably the best for Division III, and in all division, I'd have to say this is one of the best games of the night. Both teams bring great followings of their fans, the good old Hope faithful, but Calvin does a great job as well as bringing fans on their side. Both teams having really phenomenal seasons this far. Calvin going 12-0 overall and 6-0 in conference, while Hope is 13-1 overall and 6-0 in conference. Calvin comes in coming off a 20-game road winning streak, which is just such an impressive stat to have as a team. Calvin is ranked number 1 in the country, while Hope is ranked number 6 in the country. And this is a huge matchup that a lot of people have circled on their calendars, so it's going to be a good one to see. Scott, what do you have? Any thoughts about today's game? Any keys?
I do have some thoughts, Carly, but before we get to that, we've just got a couple minutes to go. I want to send a message down underneath to our crew. We just want to confirm that we've got this mic working. I can hear myself, but I don't think, let's just do a check here to make sure. Can you confirm that that my mic is hot? Anybody underneath? All right. Terrific. All right. Thank you. We had a little, I just wanted to double check that because we had a little bit of a listening issue, but we are ready to go. Carly, thanks for having me along today. This is the third time in a row. We are 2-0 as a team, so I couldn't be more excited about it. Calvin is a great team. They are ranked number 1 in the country for a reason. Hope is ranked number 7. But right now, this is a team that will be a big challenge for the Dutch. Just to give you an idea of how good this rivalry is, let's go back just 5 years. These two teams, Carly, have played each other 17 times. So they meet twice during the year. They usually meet in the conference final. And then 2 of those 5 years, they have played in the NCAA tournament, once in the regionals and once in the national finals. Of those 17 times, the bad news for Hope is that Calvin has won 14 of them and Hope has only won 3. That's the bad news. The good news is, of those 3 victories, one of them happened in Newport News, Virginia in 2014 when Hope defeated Calvin in the national semifinal, and the other 2 happened right here on DeVos Fieldhouse gymnasium floor. So if you're Calvin, you like your chances if you look at history. If you're Hope, you can't imagine that there's a better opportunity than right here tonight in front of a wonderful crowd of loyal supporters with a chance to knock off the number 1 team in the country.
Well, it's for sure an impressive stat. Calvin's done a great job here, and looks like we're about winding down the last couple seconds on this clock for warm-up. as both teams are lining up for the national anthem.
We've got a great officiating crew, as we always do. Dave Alexander will be the down ref. Gretchen Galloway will be the up ref. And they are they're tournament level of referees, and it's a really hard job, and they will do a great job. So we have the best officiating crew and two of the best teams in the country.
At Holland Christian High School, we are reminded of the terrible pain a community feels when it loses a loved one. We grieve with those in our communities who feel that pain and pray that they will soon feel the hope and peace offered through Christ's grace. Let us take a moment to honor Mr. Whitty and his service to God's kingdom. Thank you. And now, before we announce our starting lineups, we ask that you please remove your hats and join us as we stand to honor our country and everyone defending it with the playing of our national anthem.
National anthem, and we are just seconds away from hearing our starting lineups for both teams.
First,
as you hear over the PA announcer for Calvin.
Well, Carly,
two,
if you are a Hope College volleyball fan,
number 5, Abby Gorder.
There is a 4-letter word, and that is KAMP.
Number 6,
the Camp Sisters are terrific volleyball players, and it seems like if you're a Hope fan, there are a lot of them. They are led this year by one of the Camp sisters, Anna Camp, who comes in to the match as one of the team leaders. She is the youngest of the siblings, and as I said, they are all terrific. She's played in all 12 matches and all 40 sets. She comes in averaging 3.13 kills per set, which is an unbelievable pace, and a .262 hitting percentage, which for an outside hitter is great. And she is joined by Tessa Van Laar, who moved over from the right side position over to the left side or outside position, and they just provide a lot of power. And the one person who doesn't get a lot of credit probably, but deserves it, is the one who's being introduced right now. Their setter, Jenna Lodewijk. She started as a freshman, and she has played virtually every match since she walked on Calvin's campus, and she is very, very good. She freezes defenses with her jump sets. She can go out, she can go back, and she attacks. And you absolutely need to know where she is on the floor, because if she's in the front row, you might only have 2 hitting options, but if you're the middle, you have to pay attention to what Jenna Lodewijk can do. She is an outstanding volleyball player, an All-American for a reason. Last weekend, Hope was led by Sarah Felposh. I think that's the best weekend. I was actually talking to her in the cafeteria just yesterday, and she said That was probably the best weekend that she had ever had. The Friday and the Saturday was St. Mary's and Adrian, and she was just great. But we have great balance on Hope's team. There are a lot of good hitters. Setter Sophie Hackett has a lot of options. The two middles played great this weekend as well. And Katie Rietberg is still one of the league leaders in both kills per set as well as total kills. And she, like Jenna Lodewijk, has played virtually every match since she walked on campus at Hope College, with the exception of a very short injury that she suffered at the beginning of last year. But she is a future all-league player, I suspect. And so really, there are no weak spots. If you have to scout this team, if you're either coach, you don't really have a lot of options because there are a lot of offensive weapons on both sides.
Yeah, you mentioned Anna Camp, and she being the fifth one in her family to be here. So she's been around this Calvin program for a long time, watching her sisters, starting from a young age. So being on this Calvin team is like home to her. She's been here for so long and has some great senior leadership from Dan Hoff and some great coaches under Coach Warners, who's been here for so long. And last year swept Hope 3-0 in all three series. So she knows her stuff. She's been around for a long time. She's loved across the Calvin community and has really created a really great environment for her program to have and a really good reputation for her program.
Yep, she recruits great players and makes them better, and that's a tribute to her. She's been National Coach of the Year before, and she's brought her team to the national final several times. So I will say, of all the things that I love about volleyball, one of the things I'm not a huge fan of is what seems to be interminable team introductions. I think it takes longer in this sport than about any sport I've ever seen. So, but it's fun, it gets people excited, so it looks like we are ready to go.
Both teams stepping off after shaking hands. And Scott, what do you think are going to be the biggest keys for Hope coming against this phenomenal Calvin team?
Well, if you're a numbers guy like I am, if you look at the discrepancy between what Calvin hits and what their opponents hit, it seems to me that it's hard to pick your poison. They are hitting, as a team, 294, which is an incredibly high hitting percentage, and they're holding their opponents to 124. So, I mean, I think it all starts with defense, and if you can shut down their outsides, you have a chance. And so to keep an eye on Van Laar and Camp, I suspect that that's where their offense generates. But as I said, Lodewijk is so versatile, it's hard to keep an eye on everybody at the same time. So I guess if I were to pick one thing that you have to do, you've got to block and you've got to dig, and then try to run an offense that can create some spaces and some seams for your very talented hitters. But they've got to get a chance, which means Sophie's got to get them good balls.
And here we go, folks, where the game will start with a serve from sophomore, Kaylani Castillo. Deshawn will pass that ball up. Hackett out to Felposh. And right away, we'll get a double hit from Hackett. And one of the biggest keys that Coach Schmitz talked about in my interview with her is that she said serve receive is going to be a huge thing for Hope's team since Calvin has such a great serving percentage. Thompson gets that ball up. Hackett back to Muller. Lodewijk digs that one. This one goes off to Dan Hoff. Hackett goes out to Felposh. And Castillo goes for the dig, but Felposh gets that one to stick down.
Sarah's picking up where she left off over the weekend. You know, Sophie, this is her very first Hope Calvin match. She watched for 2 years as All-American Lauren Hayskamp led the team, and that first one she got called for double contact. My guess is she was a little nervous. I was glad to see her get a nice clean set to Sarah, who came with the power, but Calvin looks like they answer right back.
And Van Laar gets that one to stick down. As Blankspor will come in to serve.
Family connections here at Hope. Kaylana, the daughter of assistant coach Ray Castillo, and Emily, the server now, the niece of head coach Amber Warners.
And Vashon tries to get that ball up, but that one goes too tight to the net for anyone to recover.
You were telling me about their serving prowess. They had a lot of aces, you said, this weekend.
Yeah, 17 aces against Kalamazoo, which is an incredible stat to have for serving percentage. And Vashon gets that one up, but that's a perfect ball that every hitter loves to see right back over the net for Danhoff to spike that one down.
Danhoff is long, with long arms, and she jumps well. And you don't want to overpass to her.
And Hackett gets this one up to Muller. Great dig by Blankspor. Danhoff gets that one. And Van Housen gets that one over, trying for a touch, but no luck on that, as Blankspor goes back to continue to serve.
Well, Courtney and Danhoff have played against each other for 3 years, and I think Courtney understands what a good blocker she is. She tried to get a tight angle, but a little too tight.
Blankspor with a good dig off Muller's hit. And Danhoff with a great tip right over the block in the area where Hope had no one there. And great start for the Calvin Knights, a 6-1 lead in this first set.
Hope looks a little nervous. I think they're pressing a little bit. I can't imagine, certainly the anxiety is understandable. You're playing against the #1 team in the country on your home court, and you want to do well and you want to start well, but there were some mistakes, and it was just a little loose and sloppy. You know, we had a bad contact. There were a couple balls that dropped that probably wouldn't have otherwise, and so I think they need to take a deep breath, relax. The volleyball is still the same size and the net is still the same height, and I think if they can get those bugs out of them, get those cobwebs and nerves out of them, they will be doing a little better. But, yeah, the first 7 points were definitely all Calvin.
Well, you said it. It's a big game, one of the biggest of the season against a huge team, #1 in the country, in front of a huge crowd. So lots of nerves must be flying around. So good call by Coach Smith to time that out, calm everybody down, and let her team remember those basics. Blankspor serves this one up. Felposh gets a dig. Hack it out to Van Housen, and Van Housen with a great little hit right behind the 10-foot line. And Mallory Luke will come in to sub for Haley Muller and play back row for her.
Courtney played within herself on that point. She didn't go for the super hard angle and was still able to get it around the block, but yet not hit it out.
And Danhoff tries to keep this ball alive, but Castillo bumped that one a little too close to the net for a poor angle for Danhoff.
Mallory Luke does not have a lot of size, but her serve is a pain in the neck. And give her credit for that last point.
Hope will free ball this one over. Lodewijk goes to Van Laar. Hack goes to Felposh. Felposh goes line off the block, and that one lands in for point Hope.
3 straight points right after the timeout. You called it. It was a good timeout.
Castillo with a good pass. Lodewijk up to Van Laar. And we'll get a net violation for Hope against Felposh. Kristen Van will come in to serve. Thompson with the dig. Hack it back to Van Housen. Castillo tries to keep this one alive as Camp goes into the fan section, trying to keep this one alive, but can't quite get to it. Sarah Felposh will go back to serve for Hope.
We'll see if Sarah plays all the way through the back row. That gives them another defensive option.
Lodewijk tips this one over. This one goes out to Rietberg, blocked by Calvin. Set back to Rietberg, another block. Rietberg gets that one back up. Hackett goes back to Rietberg. Lodewijk goes to Danhoff. Thompson's there. Camp's there on the net. Hackett sets Van Housen. Van Housen tries to tip it over, but that one doesn't get quite over the tape.
Well, that was a great point. Both teams deserve to win it. Katie had 3 hits right in a row, and they were all 3 different. Give her a lot of credit. She tried something different, but Calvin had an answer on defense each time.
Dan Hoff will serve this one over to Thompson. Hackett sets out to Rietberg, and Rietberg powers this one out of bounds. But looks like we got the tip off the block. This will put Van Housen back to the line to serve.
I didn't see that tip, but we'll take it.
I didn't see that one either, but that's why we're not line judges.
Fingertips, nails, fingernails.
Lodewijk goes back for Blankspor, who sets it over. Hackett goes out to Baker. Great dig by Blankspor. Lodewijk keeps this one alive. Hackett tips it over in the middle. Blankspor with a great dig. Camp hits this one over. Hackett out to Rietberg. And Castillo tries to get her hands on that one, but that one sails out of bounds.
That was another great point. I think that the athletic play over here, I think it might have been Lodewijk, and she sent it, and Coach Schmidt wanted an antenna call. It was really close, but I think Lodewijk got it inside the antenna to continue to play, but Hope got the point.
Yeah, and some great digs by Blankspor on that last one. Calvin keeping that ball alive. This one goes out to Rietberg. Great dig from Van Liedel. Joust at the net. Hackett goes out to Rietberg. And this one goes off the block, but the ball went so high off the block that Calvin's back row couldn't quite get to it.
Well, they got the nerves out of them, and since that timeout, they've outscored Calvin 7-2. So this is they're playing very well. Hope is right now.
And Van Housen sends that one out of bounds. Scores 9-8 in Calvin's favor. Van Laar will come back in for Blankspor in the front row.
Emily did a great job back there in that rotation, that series.
Yeah, had a great pancake, a couple great digs.
I know that her brother Mitch Blankspor is listening in Terre Haute, Indiana. Hello, Mitchell.
Camp gets this ball up. This one goes out to Van Laar. Luke sets Rietberg. Castillo with the dig. Lodewijk out to Camp. Hackett goes out to Rietberg with a great partner block from Van Laar and DeVries. And we've seen Calvin get a lot of hands on all those balls, but they finally got this one to get down and stick.
Well, you know, on that play, it was a fairly slow developing play, and so the blockers had time to get over, plant, go up, and penetrate the net. And, you know, the outside hitter really wants to come with power in that case, but when it's a slower developing play, it's harder to do. So, you know, I suspect Katie adapts so well, I suspect you'll see some sort of a roll shot next time to keep them on their toes.
Hackett serves this one. Camp sets Van Laar. Van Laar goes cross court, and Felposh digs this one out of bounds.
How about Camp with a back row play there? Or no, with a set. She had a set on that one.
Excuse me, I was calling Fea Van Laar for that whole last possession. Van Laar now subs back in. Fea is number 14, playing right side. Hackett goes to Muller. Castillo keeps this ball alive, but that heads out of bounds.
Well, I think we've been all the way around now. This is still Katie's first serve, and then I think that we'll have been one more time through the lineup, if I'm not mistaken. Great dig by Paige.
Van Laar with a couple good hits and a good block right there to give her team the point. Calvin doing a really great job with those jousts at the net. Really using their length and wingspan to their advantage. Castillo goes back, libero for Calvin to serve.
Here we are back at the start of the rotation. This is where Castillo started. Oh, great eye by Lexi Thompson.
Thompson lets that one go. Great eyes. Van Housen will come back in to play front row.
That's got to be hard to do. You got to know where you are, how high the ball is when it crosses you, and make a split-second decision.
Baker sends that one into the net.
I see each team is giving their opponent plenty of opportunities. I think we're up to now 4 service errors for the game.
Blankspor subs back in. serve. She gave Calvin a good run.
That was a quick rotation. She just came out.
Yeah.
That's because they were trading bad serves.
Right. Hackett goes to Muller. Camp gets this one up. Lodike to Danhoff. Danhoff with a great hit. Finds that corner.
She gets up so high she can see the court well, and she always finds a spot. That's her third kill.
Blankspor serves this one up. Deshawn with the pass. Hackett to Felposh, who gets it off the block.
I like when you bring an outside hitter from the middle on that serve receive. I think that puts the offense of the serve receive team at an advantage, and Felposh is really good at that.
Mallory Luke comes in to serve. Camp with the pass. Lodike out to Danhoff. Danhoff gets it down. Thompson tries to get there.
Just
Filito
a
will
little
come
bit of
back in.
topspin. That was a really good hit by Danhoff. It came in just 6 inches inside the line, and she didn't have a lot to work with, and she was able to make it work. That was great.
Filito will serve this one. Thompson with the pass. Luke out to Felposh. Calvin's team lets that one go, but that one hits deep towards the line. Stays inbounds. Rietberg comes in for Vashon. Felposh goes back to the line to serve. Blankspor with the pass. Lodike with the deep set. Hackett goes to Vinhausen. This one goes off the block. Lodike goes to Danhoff. Danhoff tries to tip this one deep, but that one sails out. (15-14) still in Calvin's favor. Castillo with the pass. Lodike out to Camp.
Oh, wow.
Good dig by Felposh. Danhoff tips that one over close to the net. Vinhausen tries to get her hands on it, but that one goes back into the net.
Yeah, I think Calvin deserved that point. That was a really good hit.
DeVries comes in for Calvin's front. Danhoff goes back to serve. Hackett goes out to Rietberg. And we'll get another double hit from Hackett,
Yeah,
which we saw a couple of those this past weekend versus Adrian and St. Mary's.
I think she wasn't quite where she wanted to be, and she ended up bending her back a little bit more, and it's a lot harder to do.
There's a little bit of miscommunication right there between Luke and Felposh. Coach Schmidt will take another timeout for her team as Calvin increases the lead to 18-14.
Well, you know, and we were at 15-14, Carly, and we really had played them early. You know, we'd played them kind of point for point after we got behind early. But then those 3 points are just killers. You had the kill by Danhoff, and then we had the ball handling error, followed by the ace by, Danhoff. And all of a sudden you've got an 18-14 game, and that's just so hard to come back from. Not to say you can't do it, but these games, they might seem long, but I'm sure if you're out there playing, they're very short. And as I'm watching the Hope parents, very stressful. I guess it's a lot easier to be a retired Hope volleyball parent, because I see my dear friends up there, and I remember how anxious you became as you watched your daughters. I'm sure the same is true for the Calvin parents. I was talking to Emily Blankensport's parents before the game, before the match, and it's hard to watch your daughters in front of all these people, and you want them to be successful and know only one team is going to come out with a win.
And with this being such a big matchup and such a great rivalry to be a part of, a really great game for both teams and a really great stage to be on.
Easy to lose track of that.
Danhoff will start to serve. Felposh passes this one out. Thought about letting that one go, but decided a little bit too late.
I think they're trying to cover here and see if Mallory can get that ball if that comes in that zone. And they did let Mallory take that.
Luke.
Sarah backed off.
Rietberg with the hit. Lodike tips over. Hackett's there to save. Vinhausen gets this one over. Hackett tips. DeVries tips that one over. right in the middle. Everyone was playing back for the hit.
That was a smart play.
Good play by DeVries.
See, we've temporarily lost our scoreboard. It's 2014 Calvin now. We'll try to get that scoreboard back up for you.
Felposh with a good pass. Hackett out to Rietberg. Good block by Calvin. Lodek up to DeVries. DeVries with a great hit by the 10-foot line. Hits Felposh, but Felposh couldn't get her hands there in time.
And the play happened so quickly. Give Calvin credit. It was a jump set by Lodewijk, and then we could only get one block over.
Danhoff serves this one up. Luke takes it. Hackett to Van Housen. With a good partner block from Camp and DeVries once again.
I think Courtney was hoping she could dribble that down the front, but the Calvin blockers penetrated too far.
And we saw in the game against Adrian on Saturday, Hope really struggled with that block and took a couple games for them to adjust to it. But in a game like this, Hope's going to have to adjust more quickly and more efficiently.
Van Housen picks up her third kill. Hope trailing by 7 near the end of the set.
Van Housen will put herself back to the line to serve. And Lidl with the pass. Out to Camp. Camp with a great cross-court hit.
That's the first kill for Anna Camp. She's had 5 attempts, but they've been able to dig her up until that one.
Lodewijk goes back to serve. Felposh with the pass. Hackett out to Baker. The block gets there, but that block goes out of bounds.
Well, Sophie's got to give them a bunch of serves here as they trail by 7.
Hackett goes back to serve for Hope. Lodewijk will get this one up to Camp. Thompson gets the ball up. Hackett goes to Rietberg. Good partner block from Calvin, but that one goes out. Fee and DeVries are there on every hit. They're really getting their hands on the ball, and one of these times they're going to get that ball to go down and bounce.
Good serve.
Castillo with a great pass. Camp close to the net, tips that one over. Hackett will free ball this over. Lodewijk back to Camp. And we'll get a double hit from Lodewijk.
It looked like Violatel and Castillo were going to fighting over that ball and probably didn't give Lodewijk the best pass to deal with.
This one goes out to Camp. A little bit of miscommunication. Both players thought that one was going out of bounds. But DeVries gets that one to stick. Finlar comes in the front row for Calvin. Camp goes back to serve. Muller keeps this ball alive. And Rietberg hits that ball off the net, but it tips over on Calvin's side for point Dutch.
Ducru was very accommodating as they stayed out of the way to give Sophie just a couple extra steps.
Rietberg with the serve. Lodewijk up to DeVries. Gets that one into the net. It's 24-20 in Calvin's favor.
That might be the first hitting error that I've seen from Calvin like that.
I'd have to agree. Camp with a good pass. This one goes to DeVries off the block. Good placement from DeVries as she clinches the first set for Calvin. 25-20.
Well, it was a Calvin day. You know, they had a couple of runs. They had a run at the beginning to put them up 6-1, and then Hope climbed back into the match, and I think it was 15-14 as we are going to queue up some of the highlights maybe from set 1. We'll work with our crew down below. I see the Hope College coaching staff discussing. I'm sure both teams will come out with the same lineup. But it was really two great teams playing, but Calvin just played better. They hit better, they dug better, and they made fewer mistakes. So they had 3 aces. Hope didn't have any. And Hope was able to dig the ball more than Calvin was, 20-14. But that just meant Calvin was hitting the ball more often. So
Right.
right now, if you taking a look at set 1, Hope was led by who do we have? Just check the stat sheet here. Sarah Feldposh, picking up where she left off. 4 kills, 4 attempts, hitting 1,000. That's almost unheard of. Katie Rietberg led all hitters with 5 kills. She was 5 kills, hitting 286. Courtney Van Housen had 3, but she also had 3 hitting errors. There's one of her points right there. And on Calvin's side, Dan Hoff led all hitters for the Knights with 5, hitting 273, followed by Van Laar with 2 and Anna Camp with 2. Oh, and lest we forget Sarah DeVries, she had 3, 6 attempts, hitting 333. So a balanced attack, but then they also had the comfort of several service aces, 3 total, as well as several mistakes by Hope, a couple of ball handling errors and a couple of just miscommunications because they weren't ready. And they so it was a Calvin set. I don't think if I'm Hope I'm too discouraged, but they do have to play better. They've got to clean up some of the soft spots in their defense.
And props to Calvin. Their blocks have been phenomenal. They haven't gotten all of them down where they wanted to, but being there for every hit and getting your hands on the ball gets inside of the other team's hitters, and that's a huge thing for that team to have and a huge asset. So Hope's hitters are going to have to adjust to that, keep their eyes open, scan the floor to see where that is, and really utilize the block and be ready for those balls to come back over.
Both teams coming out with the same lineup.
Calvin has the same lineup as well.
It'll be Hope's turn to serve first, so it'll probably be, I think they usually start with Sophie Hackett in the serving position. Kaylana Castillo comes as libero for Calvin. And I take that back. It's going to. It's not going to be Sophie Hackett. It will be Gabby Vachon. I do have mine in right now, so I'm. If the crew was commenting on my voice, but they haven't given me a grade yet. I guess we'll have to. Yeah, I think we might have something in the actually listening device of the mic, so we can. Everyone around the world can hear us. It's just that Carly and Scott can't hear each other, but we'll get through it. Really, they're not here. The viewers are not here for us. They're
True.
here to watch this great volleyball match.
For all we know, they could have us on mute. So Van Laar with a great hit to Vachon, who can't get that ball up. And Blankspor will sub back in. And Blankspor's done a really great job with her serves, really giving Calvin a run in the first set, as well as back row having really great digs for her team to get those balls up for second chances. Vachon passes this one up. Hackett to Muller. Blankspor with the dig. Lodike out to Danhoff, who tips it deep back corner.
You know, if I'm Hope, Carly, that's just got to frustrate the daylights out of me. You're so worried about Danhoff coming with the power, and you're prepared for it. And she finds the one spot on the floor. She's just such a smart player there.
Yeah, Danhoff really showing off her versatility as a player. Hackett to Baker.
Good left hand.
Lodewijk goes to Van Laar. Hackett to Felposh. Blanksport gets a hand on it. So does Camp, and Castillo tries to deep ball this over, but can't quite power it over. Baker goes back to the line to serve. Van Housen comes in for the front row. Castillo with the pass. And Van Laar gets called for a double hit.
Well, as the father of a right side hitter, I still claim that non-setters are held to a very high standard on that second contact. Although that was a legitimate double hit.
Lodek got to Danhoff. Hackett gets the ball up.
That's
Baker
great.
helps. Vashon free balls it out of bounds.
Smart play by Calvin. You know, that's an easy one to play. That's an easy one just to play because you figure you have a free ball. And they had the eye to let it go, and they picked up a point. That's hard to do. Nerves of steel to pull that off.
Vilito goes back to serve. And they've targeted Vashon a lot this game in this back row, really serving to her.
Well, it's only 4-3, so we're okay. I think if it happens again, we'll probably see a slight defensive rotation. There we go.
Vashon gets that ball up. Hackett sets to Van Housen, who tries to tip it over, but a soft tip doesn't quite get over the net.
Pass was a little tight to the net, so Sophie Hackett couldn't do as much with it as she wanted. And I think that got Courtney out of rhythm.
Vilito will set that one into the net. Mallory Luke will come in to play back row and serve for Haley Muller. Haley Muller started off her career at Calvin, actually, so this is a huge game for her, transferring her second semester of her freshman year over here. Blankspor will set this one out to Camp. Camp tries to roll shot that one over, but that goes into the net. Tied up, 5-5.
Really important to stay close. You don't want to. You don't want to control. You don't want to get behind this Calvin team.
Camp with a cross-court shot, deep corner. Good placement. Number 11 for Calvin, Danhoff, will go back to serve. Great senior leadership she has brought to this team. Thompson with the pass. Hack it out to Van Housen. Lodike will go to DeVries. Hackett goes to Felposh. Partner block off the head of Lodike.
Well, Lodike made a great block, but then she tried to get out of the way, but then she hit it again. So I think Amber Warner's head coach of Calvin is saying, yeah, but the first contact was a block, so she's allowed to hit it with her head.
True.
She might have a point, but Gretchen Galloway, the up official, said it hit her head and then it hit her shoulder, so happened very quickly.
Vilito with the pass. Out to DeVries. Partner block from Hope. DeVries will set this one over. Tight to the net. Hackett with a great over-the-shoulder set right to the line. Good placement.
What an athletic play there. She didn't know what she was. She couldn't really see what she was doing, so she had to kind of guess where the line was, and she found it.
This ball goes set out to Camp. Thompson digs. Luke sets Rietberg. Castillo with a great dig. This one goes back to Camp. Hard hit ball from Camp that Thompson digs, and that flies into the stands.
Well, Sophie Hackett was out there all by herself, and that's just really hard to defend because the set was off the net, and she had a lot of room. That's Anna Camp at her best.
Allie Field will sub in for Calvin as Lodike serves. Hackett goes to Rietberg. Lodike passes that ball up. Castillo to Camp. Felposh tries to transition. Can't get there in time.
Well, that time we brought two blockers, and it still didn't matter. She still found the exact same spot, so she's just really versatile and powerful.
Lodike serves short. Van Housen gets that one up. Hackett out to Rietberg. Tight to the net. Lodike out to DeVries. Good placement for Luke, who couldn't quite get there.
Well, Hope had a lead at 7-6. That's the only time that they've led all night.
Lodike sails this one out of bounds to put it within one. Van Housen will go back to serve for Hope. Camp digs. Deep set by Lodike.
Well, we're 9-all, so Hope was able to climb back into this.
And I'd have to say neither team really performing to the best of their ability yet.
Quite a few mistakes, but a lot of power from players like that.
Camp kills this ball. This one goes through the hands of Enhausen.
Anna Camp's going to go back to serve, and as she does, she picks up her 6th kill, hitting .357. Hope does not have an answer for Anna Camp yet.
Valposh with the pass. Hackett to Rietberg. Camp with a dig. Lodewijk out to Van Laar. Van Laar with a great hit. Hope's back row really struggling to get those passes up off the hits. Calvin doing a really great job with their placements and the power of their hits, really changing the versatility of those. Thompson calls this one out of bounds. Great eyes.
Well, Calvin is helping Hope stay in the game. That's 2 of the last 3 points have been service errors, so Hope stays within a point.
Hackett to serve. Serves that one hard into the net.
That is 8 service errors total between both teams, 5 for Calvin and 3 for Hope. I think that's that balance between you don't want to give serves that are going to be easy points for teams, but if you serve it so aggressively, you end up either serving longer than that.
And there's a partner block from Calvin off a Rietberg hit. Rietberg got out of the way, but no one was there to help after Rietberg got that ball up.
No, when the hit comes from the middle like that, it's hard for both the hitter to get out of the way and know where the cover people are supposed to go.
Shallow serve that Thompson gets up. Muller gets called for a double hit. Hope will take another timeout in this set, their first of this one.
Well, every time Hope seems to draw even, it is a challenge. We seem to always be able to draw close, but then Calvin gets a couple of points either through errors or through a camp kill. And so we're at 14-10.
And we've seen a lot of service errors, which is very uncharacteristic, especially for a team like Calvin coming off 17 aces against Kalamazoo this past weekend. Definitely a stat that Coach Warners can't be happy with. Calvin takes a short little break as they come out. Hope comes out. We just saw some replays right there. Castile will continue to serve for Calvin. Really mixing up her serves with the floaters and the deep balls, keeping Hope on their toes. This one's up and over and out of bounds. Another service error for Calvin. Rietberg goes back to serve. Number 11, Holland native.
She grew up watching this match since she was a little girl. Now she's playing in it and leading the Dutch. She's got 5 kills so far.
And Vachon will sub in for Rietberg to play back row.
Well, it's getting to that point in the game where you really don't want to be 4 points behind. Hope trails 15-11, and it's getting close enough to the end that you don't want the spread to get too big.
Castillo with a good save off the block for Calvin. Lodewijk passes this one over. Hackett to Baker. Castillo tries to set it over, but that one goes through her hands.
Second kill for Paige. She's hitting 500. Haley Muller, they've been able to shut Haley down. She's only got 1 kill, and she's getting some good attempts, but Calvin has an answer for him so far.
And Van Laar will send that one out of bounds.
Well, just as I started to worry about Hope getting too far behind, they've cut the lead in half.
Baker sneaks that one over the net. Danhoff attacks, and Vashon will get that one out of bounds.
It's been a Laura Danhoff night. She leads all hitters with 8, hitting .400 for the Knights. She's controlling the middle right now. She's got a big smile on her face. How can you not have fun if you're playing this well?
Falposh passes this one up. Hackett goes back to Falposh. Falposh had a lot of room to move and crushes that one deep back row.
Sarah Falposh is playing unbelievably well. She's had 7 kills in 7 attempts, no hitting errors, 1,000, hitting 1,000 through 7. And from the outside, that's really hard to do.
Hackett goes to Vinhausen. Lodewijk keeps this one alive. Castillo to Camp, tight to the net. Partner block from Vinhausen and Hackett to send the Camp hit back on their side.
That got the parents up off their seats. That was a great play by Courtney.
Danhoff with a great hit off the block off Vinhausen's hands. That spins out of bounds.
The play happened quickly, so Courtney didn't have as much time to penetrate, and Laura was able to tool it off the block.
Danhoff goes back to serve. Luke with the pass, Hackett to Vinhausen. Calvin called for the touch off the hit.
4th kill for Courtney. She's starting to heat up a little bit. Felposh leaves all Hope hitters with 7 kills. Danhoff with 9 for the Knights.
This ball goes back to net. Joust at the net between Rietberg and Lodewijk. Kept alive. Lodewijk sets DeVries. Hackett meant for Rietberg, but Rietberg fell down on the play. DeVries tips over, and Hackett bumps that one up, but Luke was going for it. So no one was there to recover off Hackett.
Yeah, Feldposh had to come in deep toward the net to get the play from the back row, and as she backed up, Katie went to try to get in position for her footwork for the attempt, and she tripped over Feldposh.
So Lodewijk will serve. Miscommunication between Feldposh and Vinhausen for an ace for Calvin. That extends the lead 19-16 in
Hope's
favor of
defense
Calvin.
Hope's serve receive is bunched up. There's nobody beyond about 12 feet back. They know that ball's coming short, but even though they knew Lodewijk's serve was coming short, they didn't get to it. So I think that they call that a campfire. Fortunately, the service error gave it back. That is Calvin's, let's see, that is Calvin's 7th serving error.
Lodewijk goes to Danhoff. Feldposh gets this ball up, but Hope's defense really struggling. Hope looking a Camp serves. Feldposh passes. Hackett to Baker. Off the block. Castillo back row to Camp. Camp sends this one out of bounds. Muller comes in to play front row. Hackett goes back to serve, and now Hackett has 3 options of hitters in the front. Camp with the pass. Lodewijk up to DeVries, who smashes that in front of the 10-foot line.
Wow, that's a hitter's dream, but that was a very, very talented play from the freshman from North Point. 6'2" middle, and they didn't lose anything when they graduated their middle from last year.
Hackett goes to Rietberg. Rietberg with a power hit off the hands of Castillo.
That's Katie's 6th kill. She's getting the ball more than anybody. She's got 21 attempts. She's been in positions where she's had to take the ball even when it hasn't been optimal.
Danhoff with a great kill near Hackett, but Hackett's not in the right position to get that ball up.
Yeah, we're not reading our blocks quite as well as we were last year. I think Calvin just runs such a crafty offense, but we've been caught flat-footed several times now. give Calvin a lot of credit. Those balls are coming very hard, but I think we need to read the blocks just a little bit better. We seem to be caught flat-footed and out of position on our defense sometimes.
Hackett gets this one to go off. And a lot of miscommunication on our defense.
Yeah, that had nothing to do with reading blocks. That just had to do with 6 players not deciding who they wanted. So now we're down 23-19. We want to thank Lawrence and Vandersworth for sponsoring so many of these webcasts. And so let's get a chance to hear from our great folks and our great friends at Lawrence and Vandersworth.
With 4 seconds left in this contest, down by 3.
Fellas, that's a great effort to get back where we are. It looks like we got 4 seconds. We got to have a 3. It can't be a 2. We're down 3. And here's what we're going to do. Jed, you're going to make this and we'll win the game in overtime.
Well, the Dew crew is looking for something to get excited about.
Well, I think they'll break out the Mountain Dew soon, so I think that'll pump everybody up a little bit.
I think the key for Hope is to not get frustrated. You know, they've had some miscommunications, as you mentioned. They've had some misplays. And what they have to do is to make sure that they don't get down on each other, because this is a very good team, and they need to play well in the next set.
But for having those little mistakes, it's not like they're completely out of this game. It's never been farther than a 5-point game as they get this one within 3.
Baker's a good server. See if she can make a little action here.
Baker serves to Camp. Lodewijk goes to Danhoff. Vachon gets this ball up. Baker sets Felposh off the block. Lodewijk tips over, but Hackett's there. Muller back to Felposh. Felposh with a great line hit that Blankspor tries to get up, and Danhoff tries to help to get over, but can't quite get it up.
Sarah Felposh is putting the team on her back right now. She has 9 kills in 11 attempts with no hitting errors. That is so hard to do when you're the outside hitter. And you can tell as a senior, she is just urging her teammates to try to pull this second set off.
And then Laura with a great tip right in the middle.
That's hard to deal with. You get a little bit of momentum, and now Calvin comes in with 3 set points.
24-21, set point. Vailita will go back to serve. Vachon with the pass. Hackett to Muller. Muller tries to go cut. Wants the tip, but doesn't get it. Set point goes back to Calvin as they win set 2.
Well, that's the second set. Not unlike the first one. 25-20 in set 1, 25-21 in set 2. Calvin's just playing better than Hope right now. They have great players, and they're executing. They're not playing perfectly. They're giving Hope some chances with 7 serving errors, but to go with those 7 serving errors, they've got 7 service aces. So sometimes if you're going to be aggressive and go for aces, you're going to get some errors. But right now, they're hitting better than Hope, not by a lot, but they're hitting at 292, which is above their team hitting percentage, actually very close to what their season team percentage has been. Let me look that up really fast. Hope is hitting 231, and well, it's a long way back. It's hard to think about coming back from 2 sets against a great team. Actually, they're almost right on their season average, 294 for the season, 292 for this match. So they're playing very well, and they have all of the control right now.
Yeah, both sets been very close, but Calvin's just really maintained control. Hope's only had the lead in either set one time, which is not ideal for the Hope team at all. But Calvin really showing why they're the #1 team in the country. Yeah, not playing perfectly, but even their good in mistakes, they come back to that, and that's what they've done. They've bounced back from their mistakes, and they've not dwelled on them. And Hope seems like they're really dwelling on those mistakes.
Well, Hope is led by Sarah Feldposh. She's got 9 kills in 11 attempts, hitting 8-18. That's 8-1-8. I don't know if I've ever seen that. Certainly not in a Hope Calvin match because the defense is always so good. Following Sarah is Katie Rietberg. She's getting the ball a lot. She's got 6 kills, hitting .238, getting lots of opportunities. Next up is Courtney Van Housen with 4, although she does have 4 hitting errors to go with that. Paige Baker with 2, and Haley Muller has been quiet. She's only got 1 kill. You know, it's a tough spot to be in. My daughter played in that spot. It's they have a good middle and they have a good outside hitter, and Haley is always going up against those 2 very fine players. On Calvin's side, it's been Laura Danhoff leading the way. 10 kills, hitting .421. And if Feldposh weren't at 8-1-8, that would be unbelievable, and it is. She's getting the ball a lot as well. Next up is Sarah DeVries and Anna Camp, each with 6 kills. And then Tessa Van Laar with 5. So a balanced attack, but both of them being led really by their leaders. Danhoff, the senior, and Feldposh, the senior. Feldposh with 9 kills, and then and Danhoff with 10. So we need to do something a little different here, lest we go home earlier than we want to.
So both teams come out for set number 3. Calvin leads 2-0. Hope's going to have to make a lot of adjustments to come back from this 2-0 deficit.
I think they need to get a lead early and hold it for a while so they can develop some confidence. When you're always climbing from behind against a great team, it's just really hard.
Castillo will start us off in this 3rd set with a serve. Feldposh with a good pass out to Van Housen. And Van Laar keeps it alive, but this one's hit back over for Hope. And I think this is what they need to keep doing, get those early leads, boost the confidence a little bit early in this 3rd set. Luke will go back to serve. Camp gets this ball up. Lodewijk up to Danhoff. Good up by Luke. Back row to Feldposh. Off the block. And another point for Hope.
That didn't look like much, but that is such a hard play. Feldposh hitting from about 14 feet off the net against 2 blockers, and then she manages to tool it off of the outside blocker. That was impressive. And then Hope gets a break here by a Calvin misplay.
And Hope looking a lot more in sync and playing well together, coming off this little break they had in between sets. Camp gets this ball up. Castillo sets Van Laar. And that one goes deep back line.
Kissed the tape. 3-1 3-1 Hope.
And Blankspor, number 12 for Calvin,
She
will
has
serve.
10 digs tonight. She's been very quiet in there. She's doing it, but she leads the team in digs.
And a miscommunication again from Hope. They got the ball up, but no one wanted to take the set. Blankspor, Grand Rapids native, serves this one up. Feldposh with a good pass. Hackett back to Van Housen, who sends this one out of bounds, tries to go cross.
She got to the ball. The timing wasn't perfect. By the time she got to the ball, it was a little lower to the net than I would think she wanted it. And probably should have rolled it, but at that point the ball was so low she just kind of had to hit a line drive and went too far deep, too far long.
Hackett goes to Rietberg, and we'll get a double touch from Hackett. So Calvin quickly turns this ball game around for 4-3 in their favor. Blanksport continues to serve. Luke with the pass. Hackett gets the ball up. Van Housen tips it over. Lodewijk to Danhoff. Quick little transition right there.
Yeah, that fast middle has caused fits for Hope all night. Laura's Danhoff is very, very good at it. And a lot of times we can only get one blocker there, and that's just hard. That's hard when you have to defend Laura Danhoff with one blocker.
Luke keeps this alive for a free ball from Hackett. Lodewijk tips. Thompson's there. Hackett goes up to Van Housen, who tips it over. Lodewijk up to Van Laar. Luke tries to pancake it. Great hustle, but can't quite get there in time. And we'll get a defensive change. Jenna Vanderlaan, a freshman from Grand Rapids, will come in to play back row for Feldposh.
So they've decided to go with the defense at this point. Feldposh is carrying the team on offense with 10 kills, 0 hitting errors, but they need defense right now. Well, we got off to a 3-0 lead, Carly, and then gave up 7 straight points, and now it's 7-3 Calvin. That's hard to cope with. They need to come back from this. Great place for a timeout, but at some point, Calvin's indomitable skill has got to get frustrating for a team to play against. It's not over, it's still early, but every time we sort of make a little run, Calvin starts making some good plays.
And I think Hope started off really well, really getting the momentum, coming out 3-0, but really getting discouraged after Calvin came back, and that's something that Hope can't do. They got to be able to attack and be able to respond to Calvin's hits and their points and just be able to battle back and not hang their heads.
Well, Emily Blankenspor has served 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in a row. So at the very least, we have to get her out of there because we're having problems right now with her serve.
Yeah, and Blankspor was the one that got it going for Calvin in the first set. Hackett goes out to Rietberg. That one goes out. She tries to go cross.
Well, the crowd is getting very quiet right now. We just seem to, even when we're in system, it seems like we just are always faced with either a double block or coverage. You know, we're struggling because they're serving so well. Hey, I think we got a break there. Emily Blankenspor had a great serve run, and actually Calvin could have won that point, but their tip at the net just went a little wide, so Hope finally gets it back.
Rietberg, good serve out to Blankspor. Lodewijk goes to Danhoff. Danhoff goes line. Gets that one to hit.
I don't know how she did that. Her body was not in a position to hit. She had to turn 90 degrees, and she just kind of roundhoused it, and it went right on the line. I don't think anyone knew it was coming. We didn't even put a block up. I think that we thought it was going to be free balled over, and she roundhoused it and put it right on the line.
Luke with a great pass, and that's what it does. It starts with a pass, and Luke is really trying to get her team back in it, and that just set up a good set for Hackett to be able to get her feet underneath the ball for a good set to Van Housen, who kills that one deep back row.
It's Courtney's 6th kill. Calvin wanted a touch. I didn't see a touch.
Danhoff really wanted that touch.
I don't think there was a touch. I would say if there were. Hope trying to climb back out of this 4-9 deficit. They're up to 6-9 now.
Blankspor with the pass. Good hit from Baker, but a good block from Calvin.
That was DeVries or Camp, I believe. I think it was Camp who went up. I didn't see that, but boy, that was great play by Calvin.
And Danhoff sails this one out of bounds.
Great dig by
Lodike goes
Blankenspor.
to DeVries. Hackett goes to Falposh. Hackett goes back to Falposh. Vailita will get that ball up. Goes to Camp. Good dig from Vachon. Hackett goes back to Muller. Muller goes cross court. Lodewijk goes to Camp, who tips it over. Falposh gets a hand on that and keeps it alive. Lodewijk will tip that one deep down in front of the 10-foot line.
Well,
Looks like
Lodewijk
Hackett probably could have gotten
you
there.
know, she hasn't done that a lot, but she has. She is so good. That ball was tight to the net. Hope didn't recognize that she was in the front row, and she's tall and she jumps well. And with her left hand, she just smacked it over. Great play by Jenna Lodewijk.
Falposh with the pass. Hackett to Muller on the right side. Hits it off the block. That goes out of bounds.
Hope trying to climb back into this.
Rietberg subs back in for Vachon. Falposh back to the line for serve for Hope. Vailita will get that pass. Castillo keeps it alive, and Camp hits that one into the net. Hope's closing the gap, 11-9 in favor of Calvin.
Well, Hope has had an answer for Anna Camp. She's has 6 kills, but it comes with 4 errors. So they've held her in check, hitting only 100. What they haven't been able to do is answer for Laura Danhoff. Here they're able to stop Sarah DeVries. And so it's, give Hope a lot of credit. This is a very, very good Calvin team. And they are trying to climb back out from yet another deficit. They've been behind almost all night.
Good hard hit right there that Falposh tries to get up, but beautifully hitting ball. Camp serves for Hope, for Calvin, excuse me. Lodewijk having a lot of options for Calvin in the front row as Camp sends that one into the net.
Calvin's 9th service error to go with 5 aces. Hope within a point.
Castillo with a shank pass into the bench to tie it up 12-12 as Coach Warners for Calvin calls a timeout. And there seems to be some new life in this Hope volleyball team.
Well, they have been they have shown great grit against a great opponent, and Calvin has just not made a lot of mistakes. They have made some serving errors, and that that ball handling error there, serve receive error by Keilana Castillo, I think is the first sort of obvious ball handling error that I've seen Calvin make. It's really amazing how good they are in the back row. But at this point, Hope needs every advantage they can get, and they really have to play flawlessly against this team. Calvin is very good. They don't make a lot of mistakes. They don't beat themselves. But give Hope a lot of credit against the #1 team in the nation. They're tied 12-all. Now, they have a long way to go. This is only the first set that they have to win, and they've got 2 more to get after this. But 1 point at a time, and they haven't given up.
But these are going to be some of the positives that Coach Schmidt is going to focus on after the game. This set specifically, Hope bouncing back from Calvin and responding to Calvin, just as Calvin has this entire game. Hackett with the dig. Muller sets out to Rietberg, and Muller will get called for the double hit. Castillo will serve this ball. Hackett goes to Muller.
Yeah.
Muller goes cross deep, and that one gets in a corner.
Well, Carly, that was a great call. Our staff in the bowels of DeVos right now are having a good time. But we will not be deterred from having a great call on this match. And because of that jocularity, the Dutch have taken the lead, 14-13.
Mally Luke will serve this ball up. Camp with a good pass. Lodewijk to Danhoff. Vanderlaan with a great dig. Hackett out to Rietberg. Rietberg goes middle, changes it up. She's been going deep this entire game and keeps Calvin on their toes and goes middle. Great choice from Rietberg. 7th
kill for Rietberg. You know, Calvin has not given her a lot of options. They've brought up 2 big blocks. When they had to go long, you know, when she tries to go deep, oftentimes it's too deep because the block is so high, and that time she didn't really roll it, but you're right. She found one kind of right in the middle of the court, and they all count the same. Hope still with a 1-point lead.
Blankspor, the dangerous server for Calvin, is up.
Yeah, we don't want her.
She sends it out of bounds for a break for Hope.
That is a huge break because the last time she was back there, it did not go well for the Dutch. She served 7 in a row, picked up 6 points. So I think Hope is more than happy to have Emily Blankenspor move her way through the back row. She's been playing great.
Blankspor with a good pass to recover. As Van Laar sends that one over, Luke gets it up, out to Felposh, off the block. Camp gets close to the net. Back to Van Laar. Thompson tries to get her hands on that, but that flies into the stands.
That is the 8th kill for Tessa Van Laar. Hope maintains its 1-point lead.
Vilito will go back for Calvin to serve. Vachon with a close to the net, and those are Danhoff's favorite.
Shoot.
Calvin ties it up, 16-16. Vilito still serves. This ball is up. Luke with a good pass. Hackett to Van Housen. Get a good partner block from Danhoff and Camp.
I'll give Vilito the credit for that. That serve was so strong that Mallory did a great job of getting the ball up, and Sophie was able to put a set on it at second contact, but it wasn't the best set we could have, and so Courtney didn't have a whole lot she could do with the ball, and so then Calvin was able to get the block.
Felposh trying to get the tip off that, but no such luck. Calvin extends the lead to 2. Another great serve from Vilito. Low and strong.
Well, just when we were happy to get rid of Emily Blankenspor from the service position now, here comes Kristen. She is a junior from Willard, Ohio. No, excuse me, Ann Arbor, Huron. Danhoff from Ohio.
Felposh, great hard hit off the block of Calvin. Van Housen goes back to serve, 19-17. Calvin's up by 2. Vilito with the pass, out to Danhoff. Van Housen keeps it up. This ball's to Felposh. Felposh gets the tip off the block to put us within 1.
12th kill for Felposh. She leads all Dutch hitters, and she actually has a hitting error now, finally, after all that time. She's dropped down to a cool 647. That is just an unbelievably hot hitting percentage.
Service error for Van Housen.
Well, Calvin is 5 points away from winning this match.
Laura Danhoff, number 11 for Calvin, goes back to serve. Thompson with the ball up, Hackett out to Felposh. Blankspor with the pass, out to Camp. Camp sends that one out of bounds. 20-19. Calvin still ahead by 1. Haley Muller will sub in for Mallory Luke as Sophia Hackett, the setter for Hope, goes back to serve. Hackett has 3 options in the front row as far as hitters go. Vilito with the pass. This goes to Camp. Yes. And a great partner block from Haley Muller and Paige Baker.
Well, Haley has not had the ball a lot on offense, so that's so great to see her come up with that. We're tied at 20 now. That's how you earn your money as a right side hitter. Oh.
Hackett serves that one to the net.
That is the fifth. Is that right? Fifth service error for Hope. Calvin has 10. Sixth service error.
Allie Field will sub back in for Calvin. Felposh with a sky-high hit to tie it back up.
Well, in that serve-receive rotation, you can bring your outside hitter down the middle, and that's a play Hope does really well with both Rietberg and Felposh, but Felposh is just having a great night.
Felposh with a good serve that Castillo gets her hands on, but that one sails out. As you said, Felposh really keeping Hope into this game. This forces Coach Warners to call a timeout as Hope goes up 22-21 in this third set.
Well, what did I say? 4 or 5 points ago, Calvin was 5 points away from winning this match. Now Hope is 3 points away from winning this set and extending the match. It is, yeah, that's great. We need this. We need this set. I might not quite prepared for class tomorrow, but I will stay late. I will stay up late if we can stay and win this.
And Hope really showing quite a difference as a team from the first two sets, really making some of those adjustments off the hits. And just attitude-wise in general, you're seeing a lot more smiles this game. Both teams looking like they're having a lot more fun and just playing more as a team than they have in the first two sets.
And fewer mistakes. There aren't any of these campfire balls that are dropping in the middle of the court where all 6 of them are looking at it. And frankly, Calvin has made some mistakes that we didn't see in the first two sets. We had a couple of back row ball handling and serve receive errors that, Calvin was squeaky clean in the first two, and we have had just a little slippage by the Knights, which has helped Hope.
This ball is close to the net for Fia. Joust at the net. Felposh gets it over. Hackett sets it over. Lodewijk out to Camp. And that's a tip off the block that Felposh can't quite get to help out. Calvin ties it up, 22-22.
On that free ball, they tried really hard to get Jenna Lodewijk to put her hands on it for the first contact, and Calvin wisely moved Jenna out of that spot. Someone else took it, and Jenna went into the sub. And that was a very smart play by Calvin, tied at 22.
And Van Solkema subs in to serve. Free ball from Hope. DeVries sets out to Van Laar. And Muller can't quite get up to save that one. So point for Calvin. 23-22. Coach Schmidt for Hope will take the timeout.
Well, these are two very evenly matched teams. Calvin was a little better than Hope in the first two sets, and right now it's really been an even match, an even set. Calvin has the upper hand for the entire match. They're hitting 242. Hope is at 202. Not bad against the number one team in the nation. Both teams have a ton of digs, 37 for Calvin, 40 for Hope. Calvin with 2 more blocks than Hope, 4 versus 2. 6 service aces for Calvin, but that comes along with 10 service errors, and so really it's a net negative with this aggressive serving. On the other hand, it's a bigger net negative for Hope because they only have 2 aces, but they have 6 service aces, so probably both coaches wouldn't be completely satisfied with the serving. Hope had a couple of mental errors in the first 2 sets, letting balls drop, not communicating, but they played very well in this third set. They still find themselves down by 1, however, 2 points away from losing the match. So they need this point right here, I think. They need to play. I wouldn't be surprised. Well, Felposh is in the back row. Wouldn't be surprised if you see Katie come right down the middle.
Van Solkema serves this one out of bounds.
Who needs that? Let's just take a service there. Yeah. We'll take it.
We'll take that any day. Anna Camp will sub back in for Van Solkema. It is tied 23-23, win by 2. Thompson, senior captain, will go back to serve. Floater.
Serve.
Good serve by senior captain Thompson. Exactly what she needed to do.
She's a great server. You don't think of her about when you think of serving, you think of making great serve, receive, and great digs. But she is a tough server. That's a float that's hard to play.
This ball goes to DeVries. Feldposh tries to dig it. Got some weird spin as that one goes out of bounds.
I notice Feldposh is now playing across the back and not Vanderlaan, so they want that offensive option. But that time, we weren't able to play it in the back row.
Castillo will go back to serve, sophomore libero. Feldposh gets that ball up. Hackett goes to Muller. Muller hits that one over. Calvin keeps it alive. Deep low dike set over on Hope's side. Hackett goes to Van Housen, who tips it over and puts Hope up by one, 25-24. Set point for Hope.
You know, Carly, the difference, that last time she tipped it because the ball wasn't quite high enough. The time before it, she tried to hit a missile and it went way deep. Smart play by Courtney.
Danhoff with a great decision as she sets that one deep corner.
14 kills for Danhoff. Most of them have been lightning fast missiles. That one was a little tip in the back corner.
And we're back to blank score. The dangerous server for Calvin. Served the last one out of bounds. Thompson with a good pass. Hack it out to Van Housen with a rocket shot in the middle. Cross court. Beautiful hit. So much power behind that ball.
Let's win this right now, Katie.
Rietberg, number 11, serves. Castillo with the pass. Lodewijk to Van Laar. Thompson with the dig. Hack it out to Rietberg, who sends that one out of bounds to tie it back up at 26.
Well, we did not win that point, but Lexi Thompson deserves great credit. The block was not together. There was some space because Courtney was a little late getting there, and Lexi came right into that space, and that's where the ball came, and that's where Lexi was.
And Housen sets one up to Feldposh, who does a great job with it. Danhoff with the tip. Hackett goes to Feldposh. Van Liedel gets that ball up. Castillo's there to help as Camp free balls this one over deep to Thompson. Hackett goes to Feldposh. Great deep line hit from Feldposh.
Sarah Feldposh, in her senior year, is in her what might be her last match against Calvin on this floor. Maybe we'll get to host the tournament, but maybe not. She can leave with nothing but great memories about how she has played.
And Baker keeps this ball alive as Luke free balls it over. Lodewijk sets Danhoff with a beautiful line shot.
Well, you know, Danhoff is a great player, but the truth is the person who deserves credit for that is Jenna Lodewijk. She went with a back set. Everyone thought she was going outside, and there was nobody there, Carly. Feldposh thought we were coming the other way, so she went to cover. You can't blame her. It was just a great set.
And Luke and Feldposh keep this ball alive as Lodewijk sets DeVries. Vachon gets the ball up. Hackett jousts at the net. Vileta will back set to Camp, who kills that one, and that goes off the hands of Thompson.
That was another back set by Lodewijk, not on the kill, but on the point before, and we didn't have a block up, and that gave Calvin the momentum. Now they're at match point.
Danhoff goes back to serve, 28-27 in Calvin's favor. Vachon with the pass. Feldposh has to save it, and Vachon can't quite get it over the net to save it. And that set point, 29-27 in favor of Calvin, as Calvin takes a hold of this match.
Whoa, that was great volleyball by two great teams. But I think that's one that Hope's going to feel like got away, because they had a couple of points there in extra time, and it was that's just hard to that's hard to think about. But Calvin's a great team, and they deserve to win this match, especially in the first two sets where they really controlled everything. They hit better than Hope did at 2:59. It's hard to get excited even about listening to Bruce Springsteen right now,
Yeah.
as fun as it is for DJ Dave to turn it on for me. It's just bittersweet as the Dutch fall in 3. And I guess our crack staff has prepared us some highlights, so we'll go to those right now.
And we saw in these 3 sets why Calvin is the #1 team in the nation, and the skill they have, the versatility they have, and props to Hope for making each one of those sets so close.
Well, the first highlight was Laura Danhoff, and it really began and ended with Laura Danhoff. 15 kills, hitting .344. Our middles did well. You know, Van Housen came in with 8 kills, Baker with 2. She also had a block. But really for Hope, it was Sarah Felposh, 14 kills, only 1 hitting error for a .591. Katie Rietberg, 7 kills. She played great. She only hit .120 because they did have her defended well. As I said, Courtney Van Housen with 8 kills. She also had 6 hitting errors for .095. On Calvin's side, it was really begins and ends with Laura Danhoff. She's really taken over with the graduation of Maggie Camp. 15 kills, .344. She leads the league in sets per kills and I believe hitting percentage for a reason. She was great tonight. Tessa Van Laar with 9 kills. Sarah DeVries with 7. And Anna Camp also had 9. Carly, thank you for letting me do this with you.
Yeah, thank you for joining me today, and you'll see a couple more replays as we're signing off. This one goes to Calvin, but we'll see another Hope Calvin matchup in about a month. Thanks for joining us. And then, in the words of one of our crew members, Cameron Wilson, don't have a great night, have an American night. Thank you for joining you, and see you next time.